It is December 17th, 1944, at 6:40-5 in the morning, near the snowy fields of Malmedy, Belgium. German Lieutenant Hartmann presses against the icy dirt, looking at a dead American soldier with a bullet hole in the head. This is the fourth casualty Hartmann saw in an hour, and everyone died from a single shot with supernatural accuracy. Hartmann is a veteran of 3 years, and his instincts say this is not a lucky shot, but the cold work of a master hunter. German men have scoured the tree line but see no flash or sound, and cannot figure out where the bullets are coming from. A suppressed crack echoes and a fifth German drops dead from over 200 meters away through a tiny 10-centimeter gap. Hartmann screams into the radio about a god minus, like sniper, while Sergeant Miller shivers, facing a bloodthirsty veteran. Intelligence stated the unit across is the American 106th Division, composed entirely of raw recruits. The Reaper is actually a 40-1-year-old man who had been kicked out of frontline combat twice for being a useless relic. His name is William James Patterson, and this man will hunt down and eliminate 120-1 German soldiers. He became the oldest soldier to get the Medal of Honor, proving the deadliest weapon of all is a lifetime of patience. William Patterson was born in April 1903 in a desolate coal mining town located in Pennsylvania. By age 9, Patterson was hunting rabbits and squirrels with a rifle so his family could have meat in their freezing home. By 15, he hauled back game for his family, seeing pulling the trigger as the grim arithmetic of survival for them. Every bullet had to draw blood or they would starve, so Patterson learned the art of extreme patience in the woods. From the age of 16 until he was 39, Patterson followed his father into the pitch-black abyss of the coal mines. While younger panicked men died rushing blindly in the dark, Patterson survived through a meticulous, cold-blooded calmness. In December 1941, 38-year-old Patterson walked into a recruiting office, eager to fight for his country. The military bureaucracy was unyielding because 38 was the absolute limit, and his request was flatly rejected. The physical toll on the 39-year-old was immense as grueling runs oft and left him collapsed on the ground gasping for air. But the moment they stepped onto the live-fire rifle range, every ounce of doubt evaporated into thin air as he dominated. Patterson hit targets dead center with a casual flick of his wrist, demonstrating an unnatural robotic stability. First Sergeant Morrison was left speechless and asked Patterson where on earth he had ever learned to shoot with such skill. Despite his lethal skills, the Army still looked at his age and stuffed him into a replacement depot shipped to England. For 15 months, this master sniper spent his days hauling heavy crates and counting spare truck parts in Southampton. The captain bluntly told him that at 40 years old war was a young man, game and his nature was better for logistics. Patterson watched train after train of fresh-faced boys head off to die, while he was left behind in the rear to tally screws. By November 1940, he wrote a letter to the commander begging to be sent to any spot on the front line. Colonel Cavender read the file and saw the expert marksman rating in his drive to fight, making a historic decision. On December 10, 1940, Patterson was a squad leader in Company K of the 423rd Regiment. He arrived at the front in the Ardennes region of Belgium on December 14th, in an area the brass considered a quiet sector. But just 2 days later, hell was unleashed as the Germans launched the largest counter-offensive on the Western Front. At 5:30 in the morning on December 16th, the darkness was shattered by the roar of 1,600 artillery guns. The 106th Division was caught off guard as 14,000 men were suddenly staring down 3 armies. By 6 o'clock in the morning, swarms of German infantry emerged from the thick fog like a great eye approaching the line. Patterson's squad near the village of Schomberg was instantly overwhelmed by the massive tidal wave of the enemy forces. The young recruits, barely in their 20s, panicked as some froze in terror while to others turned and tried to run. The line was about to break, but Patterson roared, at them to hit the Dirten Dame carefully without wasting their ammunition. To prove his point, he calmly raised his rifle and dropped a German officer at 250 meters with a single shot. He smoothly cycled the bolt, ejecting the casing, and chambered another round while killing the next target in an instant. His icy demeanor acted like an anchor for the terrified boys, who then stopped panicking and finally began returning fire. For brutal hours, Patterson's squad held the line against a force that was at least 10 times their size in the snow. He specifically targeted German squad leaders and threw their ranks into utter chaos as they lost command in the field. Machine gunners were neutralized before they could even deploy their tripods, as Patterson's accuracy was simply legendary. By 10 o'clock in the morning, the entire regiment was being encircled and Colonel Covender ordered a retreat to St. Vith. Patterson's squad was down from 12 men to just 7 as the cold reality of the battle set in during the snowy retreat. During the retreat, Patterson made a heroic choice to stay behind alone and provide covering fire for 37 young men. He locked himself into position, and every time the Germans tried to advance his lethal accuracy made them hesitate for hours. What followed over the next 14 days from December 16th to 29th cemented his legendary legacy in the history. Master Sergeant Patterson confirmed 121 kills using a methodology that was terrifyingly patient for him. He would creep out into the snow before dawn and maneuver 300 meters ahead of the American lines to wait in silence. Burying himself in the snow and rocks, he would simply wait while young soldiers lacked the discipline and fired at every shadow. Patterson watched the Germans for hours, studying their patterns and waiting for the perfect, inescapable shot with his bare eyes. He used a standard issue 1903 Springfield rifle with iron sights and no scope to hunt down the enemy troops. After emptying his 5-round rifle, Patterson would relocate, and those 5 rounds almost always meant 5 dead German soldiers. Records indicate his hit rate exceeded 93%, and on December 18th he positioned himself at a crossroads. Over 3 hours he eliminated 11 German soldiers by shooting the drivers first, then the officers near the wrecked vehicles. On December 20th he wiped out an entire 6-man German mortar crew in just 90 seconds, starting with the enemy commander. On December 22nd, through heavy snowfall, he sniped a German company commander right in the chest from 300 meters. The Germans tried desperate anti-sniper tactics, but his mastery made him a ghost that inflicted massive psychological torture. By December 20-7th, after 11 days of fighting without food or sleep, his weary body was finally failing fast. But on December 20-8th, he pulled off his most impossible shot, despite the extreme fatigue and the freezing cold. A German scout was in a church steeple 350 meters away, with less than 20 centimeters of body exposed. Patterson watched the gap for 30 minutes, calculating the wind and the bullet drop for his aging 19-100-3 rifle. He fired a single round that arced through the freezing air and pierced the throat, instantly silencing the enemy artillery. His final engagement came on December 20-9th against a German machine gun nest that was pinning down the American troops. After crawling for 2 hours to flank them, he fired 3 shots from 150 meters in exactly 15 seconds. He killed the gunner and the crew, allowing the Americans to advance without a single scratch during the intense offensive. That afternoon, he collapsed from exhaustion, and medics found him suffering from malnutrition and severe frostbite in the snow. In 14 days, he lost 20-3 pounds and maintained a kill rate over 90% using only simple iron sights. He fired roughly 230 rounds for his kills, surpassing elite snipers from the Soviet and German armies easily. This old man humiliated the most elite snipers, and General Eisenhower awarded him the Medal of Honor in March 1940-5. Eisenhower declared that his discipline and determination were more valuable than youth in the brutal European theater of war. German records showed 850 deaths in his sector, including 19 officers targeted by his single headshots. Hartman stated during interrogation that fighting Patterson felt like fighting a ghost, forcing them to surrender the entire area. Patterson was discharged in November 1945 as a master sergeant, then returned home to Pennsylvania, refusing to mine. He spent the rest of his days as a hunting guide, staying in close contact with the 7 boys whose lives he saved in the war. When he died in April 1968 at the age of 65, 300 people attended his funeral, including veterans. William Patterson's legacy reshaped military doctrine, proving that the calculated patience of the old guard controls the battlefield. Never underestimate an old man in a profession where men die young, because on a battlefield, patience is the deadliest weapon of all. If you want more hardcore breakdowns of history as deadliest miscalculations, then smash that like button and subscribe for more stories. I am your strategy observer. I will see you on the next battlefield as we continue to uncover the legends of history together soon.